I'm Jammer, and welcome back to another Animal Crossing New Horizons video. Today, let's talk about villagers in Animal Crossing, because specifically in New Horizons, they're handled a little bit differently than how they were in the past. Sure, a lot of us have always talked about how the dialogue in this game can be quite repetitive, especially what villagers tend to reference often in their speech. It's kind of a lot of the same over and over and over. One of my favorite things about previous Animal Crossing titles was the interactions you could have with villagers, things you could do with them, little mini games, chores and whatnot. So I thought today would be kind of fun to kind of overview some of the mechanics that are already in game, some of the stuff that's been hinted at to be returning in a recent datamine, as well as some other old stuff and new ideas as well of what we can see how they can add more gameplay mechanics to interacting with your villager. But before we get into all that, if you are new here, perhaps consider subscribing. Mr. YouTube here told me that only 18% of you that are watching my videos are actually subscribed. So why not help out? Join our little community. We are so close to 100,000 subscribers. So thank you all for the amazing support. And if you do subscribe, you can of course expect tons on Animal Crossing New Horizons. So thanks for listening to all that. Without further ado, let's get started. Beyond the general dialogue options that are offered when you just talk to a villager in the game, there's a handful of a couple of things the villager can ask you to do. First of all, I'm sure you've seen plenty before, is the lost item that sometimes will spawn in your island. It'll be like a little purse, a book, or some sort of little small item that a villager lost in your town. You're tasked to, of course, pick it up and try to return it to its owner. Upon showing it to a villager, they'll either claim it as their own, or they'll be like, hey, you know what? I think that looked like Apple or Wolfgang's notebook. And so of course you'll go return it to its original owner, and they'll give you a little reward for finding their item. Sometimes a villager will ask the player, hey, can you help me catch a certain kind of fish or bug? And then you have about a day or so to catch said bug or fish and bring it back to the villager. On the rarer occasions, villagers can actually get sick and will be stuck in their house bedridden all day. It's up to you to then craft or buy some medicine so they can be feeling better and back on their feet. I will admit, I haven't seen this in such a while. I mean, I saw it a couple of times at the beginning of the game, and granted, we were playing much more aggressively then than we were now, but still, I feel like I haven't seen any of my villagers be sick in quite a long time. Not that I'm like wanting any of my villagers to be sick, but it is a kind of cute way to interact with them and take care of your villager and give them some medicine and stuff. And then occasionally, sometimes the villagers will request you to deliver a present for one of their neighbors. So let's say if like Sterling had a present that he wanted to give Apple, you would be like the delivery boy that would go and deliver the shirt for them, and you let them know how it goes and stuff. And it's a cute little fun reaction there to see like the other villagers actually interacting with one another. But one of the most rare villager interactions that honestly took me months to even get in the first place was the treasure hunt. Randomly, sometimes the villager will be like, hey, do you want to participate in a treasure hunting minigame? You both will go to the town hall square. You'll have a 3-minute timer to run around your island as fast as possible and go to every single spot you can see something buried in the ground. If you'd already collected all your fossils and stuff for the day, the only thing that'll be buried will be the newly buried treasure hunt item. Or if you're like me and you haven't unearthed your fossils just yet, it's always a mad dash running on your island hoping you're gonna find the buried treasure within the amount of allotted time. It's a really fun interaction with villagers, and I wish that they would do this more often. And beyond just even the treasure hunt, I wish there were just more interactions like this, more actual compelling gameplay when interacting with the villagers on your island, rather than just them serving the function of just being some flavor text to add to the environment of your island. Having this as the only collection of stuff you can do with your villagers is only exclusive to this game, because there's a lot of other previous features in other Animal Crossing titles that didn't return here. Kind of building off what we talked about with the delivery thing, there was also a little bit more to that in previous games, where sometimes villagers would loan items to other villagers and you would be the one to request to go get it back. And a fun thing about that is too, sometimes you'd go up to the villagers and be like, hey, can you give back X's person's Game Boy? And they're like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot. I thought that was mine. I already lent it to someone else. And then you kind of go around your town trying to find the next person in the line to retrieve the item and bring it back to its original owner. Another really simple one is sometimes villagers would just be like, yo, I'm hungry. I'm really craving a apple, an orange, a peach. Sometimes it would be your town's native fruit. Other times it would be actually a non-native fruit. And so it's up to you, of course, the player to have either reserve of those fruits or have those types of trees also planted in your town. Besides, just the idea of your villagers getting hungry and looking for a snack is just so adorable. But bigger than just some delivery stuff, there were some more bigger gameplay mechanics involving villager requests. One of which was the minigame of hide and seek, One villager would request it, and then 2 others would join in hiding. You would start, of course, at town square, and you'd have a timer up on screen to find all your villagers in the allotted time. And it was a really fun way to run around your town, try to find your villagers hiding and stuff. And yes, we've played this a ton, like in multiplayer, like with real people and such, but it's still kind of fun to be able to play with your villagers in your town. Another favorite that was in New Leaf was actually the time capsule. Every once in a while, a villager would say, hey, I have this time capsule I want you to bury. Can you go put this somewhere else that I'll want to get later on? So then it was up to you to go bury it somewhere in your town and kind of keep track of where you eventually left it, because later down the road, that villager would be like, hey, remember that time capsule I asked you to bury? Let's go unearth it and see what I put in there. And usually that's where you get your reward for that little mini game. Now these next 2 kind of go in tandem, because one of the villager requests was for you, the player, to visit their home. Sometimes it'd be like, hey, can you like come over and we can hang out? And you basically would just like have a set play date to go hang out with your villagers at their house. On the other side of that, there was the flip side of that, where villagers would actually request to go to your house. And matter of fact, we talked about this in a few videos back, but this is actually part of a recent data mine for Animal Crossing New Horizons that this could be coming in a new future update. They would either schedule a time to visit later in the day, so you'd set what time for them to come over. Sometimes they'd even just like ask to visit immediately and you'd go walk over right to your house. Or sometimes you'd just be in your house and randomly they'd knock on your door and be like, hey, just dropping by, mind if I come in? And they'd just be hanging out with you. It's a small little feature, but it was a really cute way to, of course, continue to interact more with your villagers. There are 2 other villager favors worth mentioning from Animal Crossing New Leaf that made more context to the sense of that game, but it's still worth mentioning and talking about how they could maybe be incorporated here in New Horizons. One of which was requesting a public works project, and that was just how you unlock public works projects in the first place. But what if it would be kind of cool if villagers actually requested specific stuff on your island? Like, hey, I really want a place to sit. And so then you literally just like put down a bench or something like that outside in your town. So then they have a quote unquote place to sit. It'd be a great way to encourage players to continue designing the outside of their island. And the other one for New Leaf was signing a petition. I didn't even realize this was actually a villager favor. I remember at the beginning of the game, you had, of course, had to sign a petition to get like the Club LOL thing going, but apparently it was a very random and rare request where certain villagers would actually just sign a very, very funny titled petition. Sometimes it would be like a petition to wear more hats or longer naps for all. One would be like no more documentaries or like a mandated snack time. You'd not only go around your village, but you'd also go to other players' villages and talk to their villagers there to get to sign that petition. It didn't really go into act. It was just a cute little fun way to like interact and talk to these other villagers and stuff. But that's kind of cute, and I'd love to see something like that return here in New Horizons. In conclusion, the villagers here in Animal Crossing New Horizons have gotten a lot of significant changes. Like, they really engage in a lot of their own activities. You know, they have those little snacks and stuff. They sometimes get the zoomies and have to run around your island. And it brings a lot of life to these characters. They're not just kind of just idly standing there. But I will say there is significantly less player interaction than there was in previous Animal Crossing titles. I really do miss a lot of these other interactions with favors and other mini games you could play, and I'd love to see more of that continue to come to the game, because that was truly my favorite thing about the Animal Crossing series, and one of the reasons why I have so many fond memories with my villagers, because that was one of my favorite ways to play the game, is just continue to interact with them, do them favors, do like little chores and stuff, and I always thought that was so fun. While I do have a lot of emotional attachment to my current villagers in my island, that's part of the reason why I don't nearly talk to them as much as I did in previous games, because I just know all I'm going to get is just a bunch of flavored text. The chance of getting actual gameplay behind is so little that it's not likely to happen. While I of course love a change to just some of the dialogue in general, I've said it before, like I'm not the biggest fan of how the jocks are written in this game. They really have to throw it in your face in every sentence, something related to exercise. While in the past previous Animal Crossing games you can even see evidence of, they'll go full dialogue trees and barely mention even working out, maybe until even the last sentence. Rather than here in New Horizons, it's just over the top, and I get it, but it's like, it's a little much. But as far as other interactions, such as like favors and stuff to do, I'd love to see more of that come in a future update. But what would you hope that would happen? Do you think they'll bring more interactions with your villagers, especially building off what we saw with the data mine? Let me know that in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give this a big awesome like. If you haven't already, definitely subscribe for tons more on Animal Crossing New Horizons. As a reminder, we do stream this game every weekend at 10 a.m. Eastern right here on YouTube Live. That's both Saturdays and Sundays. Be sure to follow me over at my socials, as well as join our community Discord. The link to that is in the description below. Thanks again, guys, so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!